Now for the fun one. I have said for many, many years that most of the things we do in college algebra are easy, meaning that they don't require that much work if you know what you're doing. This is not easy. This is a pain in the ass, but it's part of every college algebra course in existence, so we need to cover it. Solving quadratics by using the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula says if we have a quadratic equation in standard form, x squared term, then x term, then constant term equals 0, then the solutions are going to be of the form negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac whole thing over 2a, where a, b, and c are, of course, the numbers that we find in the equation. I don't care if you memorize this. I will give this to you on any test where I expect you to use the quadratic formula. I want you to remember how to use it, not what it looks like. I'm not a fan of memorizing formulas at all. So here we've got a quadratic where our a is 1, right? A is just whatever numbers multiplied by x squared. B is negative 6, and c is positive 8. Here's how I think about this. It makes it very easy. First step, I just plug in the numbers. So I take the negative of negative 6, which is positive 6, plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared. Okay, put it in parentheses. This is going to have to be positive. When we square something, we always get a positive. Minus 4. A is 1, so 4 times 1, and c is 8. All over, the whole thing over 2 times a, which is 1. Okay, so b and b go there and there, a goes there and there, and c goes there. Second step, I just do the multiplications. Okay, that one doesn't require anything, it's just 6. The square root, we have 6 squared, or negative 6 squared, which is 36. And negative 4 times positive 1 times positive 8 is negative 32. All over 2. Third step, just do that subtraction. Sometimes it's an addition, sometimes it's a subtraction, depending on what the a and c numbers are. So we get 6 plus or minus the square root of 4. Now we have to deal with our square root. In this case, it's real easy to deal with because the square root of 4 is just 2. So this one's going to get nice for us. We get 6 plus or minus 2 over 2. This is going to give us two solutions. 6 plus 2 is 8 over 2 is 4. And 6 minus 2 is 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, and you can write that step out if you want. 6 plus 2 over 2, 6 minus 2 over 2. That's what the plus or minus means. It means we're going to get two solutions, one using the addition, the other using the subtraction, and then we simplify those. We get 4 and 2. Now, if you care to, you can think back a couple videos to part A here where we solve by factoring. We had the same equation, x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0, and we solved by factoring and get 4 and 2, except that this way was much easier. So I recommend you always try to factor first. If factoring works, it's going to be the better way to go. If it doesn't, quadratic formula will always work. It's just kind of a pain. Let's do another one. Here, a is 1 again, b is negative 8, c is 5. So we start with negative of negative 8 plus or minus the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 5. All over 2 times 1. Part 2, or step 2, do the multiplications. Negative of negative 8 is positive 8. Negative 8 squared is 64. Negative 4 times 1 times 5 is negative 20. All over 2 times 1. Okay, just do the addition or subtraction under the radical. So here you get 44 all over 2. Now this one doesn't simplify as nicely as the last one did, but it can be reduced, right? 4 is a factor of 44. It's 4 times 11. So 8 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2 times the square root of 11. You may need to go back and review how to reduce these radicals. You can find that anywhere. Reducing radicals, search online, get some examples. The way I suggest doing this here is to break it into 2 separate. 8 over 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 11 over 2. And that way you won't mess up when you reduce the fractions here. 8 over 2 is 4. 2 over 2 cancels, and we end up with the square root of 11 there. And there's our 2 solutions. I gotta love quadratic formula. They end up with ugly things after a lot of work, and these ugly things don't even really mean anything to us. I want to do one more, and I want to do one, was going to do 2 more, but going a little long here. I want to do one where the a is not 1. So here we've got 5x squared minus x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so we have to have it in standard form, so we need to move the x over here and get the 0 on the right-hand side. And then we can put our numbers in. Negative of, here our b is -1, plus or minus the square root of that same -1 squared, minus 4 times 5 times 2, right? 4 times a times c. And then all over 2 times a, 2 times 5 in this case. Do your multiplications. 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus, that's 40. All over 10. Good times. So 1 plus or minus the square root of -39 all over 10. And we know how to deal with the square root of a negative number. So we've got 1 plus or minus. 39 doesn't reduce. That doesn't simplify as a square root. So we just have to pull that I out. And we'll get the square root of 39 times I all over 10. But complex numbers have to be written as a real part and then an imaginary part. So we have to write this as 1 over 10 plus or minus the square root of 39 over 10 I. And if I assigned any like these, I truly apologize. I tried not to, but 1 or 2 may have snuck in there. All right, we've got one more method of solving to look at, and I think you're going to like it.